Well, during the first week of October, the Canadian Alliance on Mental Illness and Mental Health proudly champions Mental Illness Awareness Week.
Sophie Grégoire Trudeau is returning to TMS today on World Mental Health Day to shed light on the realities of youth and mental health in Canada. Sophie, so glad you could come back to the show today.
Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. My leftovers do not look like that street. Let me tell you that.
Right. Yes, I know. It kind of just goes into one pot, one basin of leftovers.
Exactly.
It's still good.
Oh yeah.
It's still good.
And then you add eggs and the gravy, and it's pretty much done. But listen, guys, so much gratitude for being together as families this weekend with what's happening, throughout the world. We're just so grateful. We played cards together, and I almost got beaten by my 9-year-old. So, little lessons of humility. World Mental Health Day. I'm wearing green because it's the official color for World Mental Health Day. And, mental health, as we've said together many times before, is not just, the fabric of our lives. It's obviously, how we sleep, who we hang out with, what we consume, what we bring our attention to. But it's also our learning environments and how we live in our own households, in our schools, in our organizations. And it is so important to know that, in a country like ours where we're, pretty much safe every day with what's happening in the world, that it's really important to know that mental health is affected by, outside factors like poverty, war, marginalization of groups, forced labor, child labor, maternal health, reproduction, sexual reproduction rights, all those factors playing in our overall well-being.
Yeah, and Sophie, when we talk about youth mental health, social media obviously plays a huge role in the lives of our kids and young people. And for so many of them, it's their main source of information. And you mentioned what's going on in the world today, and after what happened in the Middle East this past weekend, many of our young people will be seeing a lot of disturbing images and messages. I guess just what are your concerns with that unfiltered source and how it might affect youth mental health?
Right. It's a great question because obviously, news feeds sometimes and unfortunately have become very shortened, little blips of information here and there. That's where our kids get their information. So I think as parents, as mentors, as teachers, anybody guiding kids, we need to have those factual conversations about really what's happening. For now it's it's still Ukraine, but Israel and Gaza, what's happening out there. We need to have those conversations around the kitchen table, and we have to make sure that as parents we get our facts right, and we also check our newsfeed, which is the quality of content that we put into our minds. Now, when you look at numbers, unfortunately, 20%, and these are just diagnosed cases of youth in Canada suffer from some kind of mental health trouble. And that's more than 8 million young people in Canada. And 70% of symptoms and the first problems that arise related to their own mental health really manifest themselves through childhood and adolescence. So we have to keep an eye open. We have to keep an ear open. We have to keep the conversation going. Suicide is the second cause of death in people aged from 15 to 34. And unfortunately, it affects disproportionately so many members of the 2SL LGBTQIA plus community. And I think that it's really difficult to face our truth as human beings, but when we know that we are in a country where people do face inequalities in their own way, we're all responsible for each other when it comes from a mental health perspective.
Mm-hmm. What are some steps parents can take specifically when it comes to trying to reduce screen time?
Yeah, I'm a parent, a 9-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old. I know a lot of parents might feel concerned with this one. The thing with social media is that we can't just say, well, no, I don't want my kids to be on it. It's almost impossible. It's their way of communicating and sustaining also parts of their relationships with their friends. So that is not the answer. But I was listening to a French specialist recently, and sometimes I'll see parents giving a phone or a screen to a 0 to 3-year-old to just divert their attention, keep them busy. No screens before the age of 3, and then very progressively with a monitored schedule, little, blips of like 30 minutes maximum here and there. And obviously when they grow a little bit older, 10, 11, 12, the pressure really builds up, and they ask for phones. That's the first thing. And we really have to be careful whether it's, monitoring timing on timing and use of social media, we can do that. And we did it in our family, and it does have a more positive impact. Nobody should be on social media at midnight. What does it truly serve us? Because what we're doing with social media, and yes, there's a positive side to it, but we are in a universe of comparison. Even self-harm is normalized. It creates isolation. It's constant comparison, constant competition with images of strangers that we've never met in our whole lives. So we really have to ask ourselves the question here as parents, not only do we have to check the quality of the content, but also try to monitor the time spent on social media. And also, I think that it takes so much time away from spending time as a family. Our best memories ever, I'm sure for you as well, and for parents who are listening, are spent, time spent in nature or playing games together, unstructured play, just having a good old time without the use of screens. And obviously, if there is a use of screen, well, then let's do it together and let's play a video game as a family and then switch on to something else.
Mm-hmm. Screen time, of course, Sophie, is just one facet of this. When do we know it's time to talk to a trusted professional?
I love that question because you don't need to have a sickness to talk to a professional, whether it's for, general therapy or whatever that is. But there's a condition called problematic media, social media use, PSMU. 40% of kids in Ontario, youth in Ontario, for example, suffer from it. And so imagine throughout the country. So it's very important that we don't wait too late and that it's always time to speak to a professional. So if there's somebody in your environment who knows more about you as a parent, ask questions, go online, go on a CMHA website and see the information out there. I think that as parents, we have to collect the data, know the facts, and watch also what our kids are watching to make sure that we know what they're getting themselves into.
Finally, Sophie, we know you're a passionate advocate for mental health, and your new book, Closer Together, Knowing Ourselves, Loving Each Other, is coming out in the spring. And here it is. Here's the cover. Tell us more about this exciting cover reveal that you want to share with us.
Well, it's a real labor of love. It's my first baby, my first book. And, I understood that I really had to share part of my own story with mental health issues, eating disorders when I was a teenager into my young adulthood. So in every chapter, there's a little bit of me and my experience, but also then I reunited some of the best experts in the world who will really inform us, and I learned so much writing this book, on our bonds of attachment and how we form the personality that we all have today as adults, how we carry all the wiring in our brain in every single relationship that we entertain today. So it's really, a learning curve from a mental health perspective, and it's made accessible. It's not too scientific, but at the same time, we teach our kids mathematics, how to pinpoint a country on a map. We got to teach our kids how to be more emotionally literate, how to understand their emotions, for them to regulate their emotions, for us adults to become more conscious parents and guides through their lives.
All right. Want to remind everybody, for more information, you can visit cmha.ca or seek help at your local CMHA. Sophie, we look forward to the book, and thank you for your time here this morning on World Mental Health Day. We appreciate it. Good to see you.
Same here. See you soon.